I have the coronavirus. You might be wondering why I chose to share this with you. And it's because I simply want to be a blessing to somebody. And I want to be transparent. And I want somebody to know that even in the midst of having COVID-19, God is still in control. How did this happen? Well, my wife and I took a trip across the country to visit my mother, who needed me to go over some important family business. While we were there, we celebrated, as many of you have seen our videos and pictures, we celebrated our 32nd wedding anniversary. But that really wasn't the intent of the visit. The intent of the visit was to meet with my mother and my stepdad and go over some vital family information, some vital family business that needed to be covered, much of what could not be covered long distance or virtual. And so we went. Upon arriving back to Washington, D.C., as a matter of fact, being in where we were, the weather was much warmer. And then coming back here, the weather was cold and rainy. And so I began to feel a tingling in my throat, which I often feel when I deal with the weather change, when it goes from one extreme to the other. So I didn't think anything of it. Sunday evening, I had low-grade fever and a headache, and that's when I began to be concerned. On Monday, I decided that I would go get tested just to be safe. My wife was showing no symptoms, and so I went and I got tested. Now, mind you, this would have been my 5th test. As a matter of fact, before I went to visit my parents, I got tested twice during Christmas week to make sure that I wasn't taking anything to them. And so apparently this manifested upon my return back to the DC area. Before I got the results of my test, I was in complete denial because, like I said, change of weather gives me a cold. If I get a cold, it's going to come during that change from fall to winter or something like that, or when the weather makes a drastic turn. So the symptoms that I was feeling, the scratchy throat, which went away almost immediately, and the mild headache and the low fever that I was running was something that was symptomatic and something that I was accustomed to. So I really didn't think much of it and decided that even with this COVID test, this is nothing more than the common cold or a mild regular flu. But then the test came back positive. The test came back positive. And even for me, I was like, who's always positive in my attitude, I was blown. And a lot of things went through my mind. When I finally accepted that this test was positive and that I have COVID-19, I wasn't fearful of death or anything like that. I knew that it was a real possibility. I've heard so many stories of the twists and turns that COVID takes on an individual. And right now I have COVID, and I know that it can take a turn at any time, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video right now. But the fact of the matter was, I wasn't so much concerned about myself than I was my family, my children, my wife. I didn't want them to be affected by it or impacted by this virus. And if I had any concerns about death, it was just that I wasn't ready to leave my family. So it was a gut check time for me, but it also was a revelation that death didn't hold much fear for me. But I still recognized that this virus was real, that it is dangerous, that it can take many twists and turns. I just decide to leave it in God's hands. What else can you do? Now, let me get back to the symptoms, because once, even before the diagnosis came back and I took the test, I want to bless God for a godly wife and for a loving wife who was able to help me. And I wrote some things down because I didn't want to forget anything. But she gives me this thing called rocket fuel. Rocket fuel. This is a concoction that has 2 cloves of garlic in it. It has 2 shakes of cayenne pepper. It has fresh ginger in it, but if you don't have fresh ginger, you can get ginger tea. She also put in 1 fresh half squeezed lemon in this concoction, and also 1 tablespoon of raw honey, not the regular honey, raw honey. And she added this to 2 cups of water, and she would give this to me hot. And so you can have it either hot or warm, but she's been giving that to me consistently, and it's tough to take, but let me tell you, I can feel the difference. I also already take vitamins. I take a B complex. I take a multivitamin, a men's multivitamins for men of my age. I also take vitamin C. She started giving me vitamin C and vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, plenty of water, and orange juice. Now, what I've learned about the orange juice, or vitamin C, I should say, is vitamin C is something that you take to prevent illness. Vitamin D is something I learned you take when you're ill. You should be taking both anyway, but vitamin D becomes more prevalent once you're actually ill. If any of this information is incorrect, because I'm no medical doctor, feel free to add your comments to this post. But those are the things that I've been doing. I've also learned that you have to drink water. Fortunately, I've always been a water lover. I drink lots of water as it is. I've been told that you need to move around every hour, move around, and because clots can form if you're sedentary with this particular disease. So try to move around. Also, especially if you have respiratory challenges, lie on your stomach, sleep on your stomach when you go to bed, as opposed to sleeping on your back. It makes a difference. I guess the gravity makes it easier for you to sleep on your stomach than on your back, and it allows you to expand your lungs a little better. Once again, I'm not a physician. These are things that folk in the know have shared with me. That's pretty much what I've been doing. Today is Wednesday, I think. I've lost track of the days for real. But since Sunday, this is what I've been doing. And it's been making a difference. My fever broke yesterday. I haven't had a fever since yesterday. I have taken Tylenol. There are some reports that I've read where there are doctors that don't encourage you to take ibuprofen because they believe that it actually makes the COVID-19 situation worse. There are some that suggest Tylenol instead. And so just to be on the safe side, because I don't know for sure which one is best, I just decided to take the Tylenol, and it's been fine. As it stands right now, I have some achiness in my body. I have a little bit of congestion. I don't have a headache. I don't feel 100%. I feel about 80, 85%. And I'm blessing God for that, because from some stories that I've been told, people have been on their back for a week or more trying to recover from this thing. I have not been laid up. I give God all the glory, and my wife and those who have been offering insight on how to get better. I want to thank you. I'm not calling any names on purpose, but listen, if you find that you have this diagnosis, surround yourself with people. I'm talking about medical people who know how to assist you in this matter. Don't be around a bunch of people who just want to offer their opinions, because your life hangs in the balance. And so people who just tell you what you ought to do, and they have no MD behind their name, or they have no RN behind their name, and they just want to give you their opinion, listen, those aren't the people to listen to when you have this illness. And so God has blessed me to be surrounded by people who are in the know, including my mother, who happens to be a former RN herself. So surround yourself with knowledge. Surround yourself with people who are not afraid to tell you the truth, because that's what you're going to need. And so finally, I'm reaching out to some of you who are going through. I'm actually beginning a vlog, and this, I guess, is going to kick it off. I want to deal with people who are going through. I want to deal with people who need to be closer to Jesus, because you just got some issues. And right now, the COVID thing that I have right now, I know it obscures a lot of issues that people have. Some of you have diabetes. Some of you have cancer. Some of you have arthritis real bad. Some of you have connective tissue ailments. Some of you have mental challenges. Some of you have just a myriad of issues that seem to be hidden behind the smoke screen that COVID-19 presents. And I want you to know your issues are still real. You still got to confront them, and you still got to face them. I just want you to know that no matter what you're dealing with, God is with you. The main reason why I chose to do this right this minute is I don't want to share that I've come through. I want to share while I'm in the middle of going through. Remember, COVID-19 is something that can turn on a dime at any time. I've heard of people who were well today and gone tomorrow, seemed to be improving and then got worse. That can be my testimony. I just want you to know, I want the world to know that God is my Savior. He's the love of my life. And there's nothing more that I want to do than please Him with how I live. And even if this is the last time that I could talk to people and let them know how I feel about God, I'll take advantage of that opportunity right now and let you know God is a keeper. Going through in this life is part of being in a sinful world, but staying connected to God elevates you from this sinful world to a world with no more sickness, no more pain, no more disease, no more heartbreak, no more drama of any kind, where everybody gets along, everybody is received, everybody is accepted, and everybody serves the same God. So I want to encourage you. If there are some of you who are going through and you wanted to reach out to somebody but just didn't know, on the screen is my email, hicks919@gmail.com. Just send me an email. Let me know what you're dealing with so that I can pray for you, so that my team can pray for you, because that's how we get through, by helping each other. And I just wanted to extend myself to you, even in the middle of my own challenges, because I've discovered that my challenges feel lessened when I put somebody else before myself. So I'm extending myself to you. God is a keeper. Be abundantly blessed. Take care of yourself. And please keep me in prayer. Keep my family in prayer. Keep my wife in prayer. Pray that God will just allow me to have the COVID and no one else in my family. Pray that we are covered. God bless you.